Hi guys to everyone. It's a pleasure today having with us Paul Ray from False Prophets. Hi Paul, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. And before digging a little bit in False Prophet, you can see career and a huge career in the death metal scene. I want to know how they work. So the beginning of False Prophet.
The beginning. Let me see if I can condense this down. We started in about 87, 1988.
Well, I was born in the
Yeah, yeah, we're old. I'm old. Um, so we started in the late 80s, like a lot of the death metal bands. Most of them guys were still my age,
yeah.
around my age, and yeah, we started kind of started off as like a thrash band. Most people who know our history, like our first demo was kind of thrashy.
Yeah, in fact, the first demo, Sign of the Cross, was more trashy. That's what I remember. Yeah,
And like year, as we progressed, we got a little heavier, more death metal, a little darker. And
yeah.
in the future, the newer stuff is definitely death metal, with the hints of the thrash. We all, I still love the thrash roots, so
Good.
that kind of comes through.
Yeah. So, what about the other member of the band? Let's introduce as well the other members of the band.
Um, the original members, it was like myself, Chris Linden,
Yeah,
Tim Heisman, and Mike
yeah,
Morrison,
of course.
uh, which just recently passed away.
I'm sorry for that. Come on, condolences.
So, that was like the key members of False Prophet back in the day. Chris
Yeah,
on me
of
and him.
course.
We founded the band. We were the two founding members, and we basically started writing songs just by ourselves because we couldn't find people to join.
Yeah,
You know, Greensboro back 50 years
yeah,
ago,
of
or
course.
30 years ago wasn't a big place.
Yeah,
Hard to find people that wanted to play that type of music in the 80s. So we finally,
yeah.
our drummer Tim Heisman, he went to the same school we went to, and we finally got him interested. And we started off as a three piece. Actually, we were called Abator, and
Yeah, I read that. Yeah, at the beginning was a different name.
so of course, there was another band called Abator, but in those times, you didn't have the internet to look it up. So we
There's
played.
not. There's another band with the same name. Yeah,
So we changed the name. Once we added Mike Morrison, he came. He was the last one to come on board, and
yeah.
we changed it to False Prophet, and we played around, locally, and we traveled, and after I think maybe a year, we put out the Sign of the Cross demo.
Yeah, in 89, if I'm not wrong. 89, 98, something like that. Yeah. And so you said that at the beginning, of course, you had this sound trashy. So what about the first demo?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
how? Yeah,
yeah. Go ahead.
hmm?
Yeah, the first demo, it was
Yeah,
the thrashy side. Um,
yeah,
you know, that's kind of how we had to naturally progress because, like I said, it was hard finding members that even wanted to play thrash, like the lighter music of
yeah,
metal. So I kind of had to work these guys into actually playing more death metal stuff. So there was like a natural progression. We
yeah.
all like the thrash. The Metallica, Megadeth, Overkill,
Yeah,
Dark.
of course, because in the period, United States was like the land where all the death metal and the thrash metal was basically ruling all over the world.
Yeah,
So it was it was already born, but it was spreading from United States all over the Europe. So it was the golden era, we can say, for thrash and death in the United States. The period, everything was new. So I was being surrounded by all this new band coming in, and you were well one of the new band in the scene. It was back then the thrash and that scene, United States, because I know you're from Carolina, if I'm not
yeah,
wrong, right?
Carolina.
Yeah, yeah. So I was back then the scene.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like not in North Carolina particularly, like but like up north and down south. I mean, like all these bands were being created: the Obituaries, the Cannibal Corpses, the Suffocations,
Yeah,
Morbid Angels. So, like in North Carolina, like like most of the bands in our local area, everybody tried to be different.
Yeah,
But when we would play up north, you would see bands like when Cannibal Corpse started getting big. You started seeing bands copy Cannibal Corpse, and the
yeah.
same down south with Obituary and Morbid Angel. You started seeing the copycat bands. But like in our area, we didn't have that copycat thing going on. Like everybody in the net, like I don't know if you're familiar, like Confessor. Those guys were, from this area. Like
No, but I want to go to dig it because one of my favorite states is the South Carolina, Alabama. I love these places, always loved. So yeah,
yeah, yeah, and you had like the South Carolina area. You had like
yeah,
nine.
it's amazing. It's amazing. It's an amazing land for as far as I saw. So speaking about then, we spoke before the first demo, but then you released a second demo in 1991, the second that.
Yeah, the
It
second.
was, yeah,
Um, it was like a natural progression. Like we just kept writing the way we
yeah,
were writing at that time, and uh, we had lost members in that time. Like we lost our drummer, we had to get a new drummer.
yeah,
In that time, we progressed till he returned to the band, and so like Second Death and Satan's Names, Bring Back a Memory, like
yeah, of course,
Sign of the Cross. Chris, our bass player, he was more the songwriter, the lyrics than
yeah,
I was. Like I didn't. I mean, I'm trying to think. I wrote Devil's Meat and Sign of the Cross. He wrote the majority of. I think me and him both did Sign of the Cross. He did Red Dawn and False Prophecy. I think he did the majority of that lyric wise. But like Second Death, I was starting to, you know, where me and him would either write separately or together. I was starting to write separately. So like, my lyrics were like Second Death and Satan's
yeah,
Name and Bring Back a Memory. Um, and of course, I always contributed to all the music. So, me and Mike were mainly the contributors as far as the guitar parts and stuff. And,
yeah,
Tim, you know, threw his
yeah,
stuff there with the drums. And, like for us, or for me, it was a natural progression. I mean, I enjoy the darker death metal. Like, when I first heard Morbid Angel, I was just like, I fell in love with them. I mean, like my first big death metal, kind of the satanic stuff that I
yeah.
fell in love with, of course, was Possessed.
Yeah, of course, Possessed. I mean, how cannot we speak about Possessed?
So,
And greetings to Jeff
yeah,
because I'm sure that he will be there too looking.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you would say, yeah,
like, before Sign of the Cross, of course, I was listening to Possessed, and they were always an influence. If you listen to Devil's Meat, you can hear the 666 rip off from Possessed. I mean, I've joked about it with like Emilio from Possessed, and
yeah,
but like I heard Morbid Angel, and like that was before Second Death, and it has that Morbid Angel vibe because I mean
yeah, of
I,
course.
I love those guys. Like when I first heard Altars, I was just blown away that somebody was writing something that like I wish I'd have wrote. Like it was just great. So
Yeah,
the stuff I kind of wrote kind of had that Morbid Angel vibe and feel, and even the vocals to an extent.
more like yeah. But of course, you came out with a you can say a live album. So it means that you toured because it was like a collection of the songs that you played live. It was Murder of Mercy live.
Yeah,
In which it's just a collection of songs played live, or is just some particular gigs.
I think that was just like a few live. The Blood Harvest released like um,
Yeah,
the re-release of like Second Death, and it had Sign of the Cross, and I think
yeah,
to put some space on there, they did do a few live albums, and that was Murder of Mercy or a few live songs. I can't remember how many songs were on there. I know Murder of Mercy was, and that was probably filmed here and recorded here in Greensboro, and that was with when Raymond Martin I think was playing drums with us.
yeah.
He was in between Tim, in between recording. Raymond never recorded with us, but he played with us in between Sign of the Cross and Second Death.
Of course, I saw that with your first EP, the False Prophet as well, but it came out like almost a long period of pause, like I say, long in 2019.
Yeah,
So how so?
yeah, False Prophet. I mean, we broke up like in the '90s, and I mean, I didn't play for 10 years, and
Okay.
in my 30s, I came out with Infernal, and I did like a version of Infernal. I was the only original member,
Yeah.
and about 2011, maybe 20. I can't remember exactly. We were approached about releasing
Yeah.
Second Death and Sign of the Cross, like doing a new release from Heaven and Hell. Jeremy approached us.
Yeah. Of course.
I've had a lot of people approach me about re-releasing old material, and I just never felt like it was the right time, or I didn't really trust the people doing it. And Jeremy approached us, and that kind of kickstart the band actually getting back together. I didn't really, I was the last one to join, kind of come aboard,
Yeah.
because I was pretty happy with what we left behind. I mean, I wasn't disappointed in what we did,
Of course.
top, but everybody talked me into playing, and
Yeah.
so that kind of, I mean, it got me wanting to play again. So, we did like a few, we played some shows like Cannibal Corpse, around the local area. And of course,
Yeah.
we did like a headlining show to support the re-release of Second Death, and we had Confessor play with us and a few local bands around here, and it kind of kick-started everything up to the
Yeah.
E.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And the last split, you can say, you release is the end of Divine in 2020. But there is something that you're working on it. Some if there is some full length, some other demos you're working on it for today, right now to release.
yeah, I mean, we're actually wanting to do a full, like a full album, and
That's great.
we've had an issue finding a drummer that can commit to our time schedule and like being able to tour.
Yeah, of course.
Um, so like the EP, it was just kind of it was supposed to be the start of our album years ago,
Yeah.
and that drummer
Yeah.
wouldn't commit, and we replaced him, with Raymond Martin, who went out on tour with us with Obituary, and he couldn't commit, and we just had a replacement drummer, and same thing,
Yeah.
man. It's just if we can find somebody that can commit, we're ready to do an album. We have 8 songs ready to go. We're
So
just
there is all the material is ready. So what is missing, just a drummer, commitment, just completely fully committed to
need
the
somebody that
touring.
can
Yeah.
do it. It seems like
And
everybody be a musician until it's time to do it.
but I think out there are a lot of people that could be happy to join False Prophet. But in general, your lyrics and your topic, where is the main topic of all the songs of the lyric that you release in all these years? Because you have a long career behind your back. So
I mean, most of it's the darker, the religious, the anti-Christian, basically.
okay, so we can say more like that trash topic.
Yeah, I mean, the older stuff is definitely more of the thrashy,
Yeah,
type. The newer stuff is definitely gonna be the darker, more
yeah,
death metal topics. So if people are into the Morbid Angels, Possessed,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
stuff like that, I mean, that's kind of.
Since you've been touring a lot, there was something, for example, some moments that into touring that or playing live, some episode that you remember with pleasure, some funny moments that you want to share that happened on tour or just live, even
I
the
mean,
rehearsal.
yeah,
The
they're all
same.
fun, man. I mean, like being out with Obituary, those guys, really helped us out and let us go out with them on an East Coast run. And, just every night was fun with those guys. I mean, they were just super cool and super professional. Like, and, so we've been out with Obituary. We've done a few shows with Inhuman Condition, which is
And yeah,
playing, and Terry
I
Butler.
saw something with Massacre, or am I wrong?
Yeah, we're going to be, we've played with Massacre in the
Yeah,
past,
they're great. Yeah,
but, yeah, next in November, we're going to be playing with Massacre again in Florida. And it's
that's
always
amazing.
like Cam and Michael and those guys.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And what about the influences? I mean, of Now I want to go in the influences of false prophet. Then we will go in your personal influences.
My personal interests. I
Yeah.
mean,
Now we just go to the influences of false prophet. You can say musically, because that each member could have different influences that bring inside the band. So for that, which you think could be the mainly musical influences to false prophet?
on my behalf or everybody. I mean, for me, I mean, it's like I said, it's the Possessed, the Morbid Angels,
Yeah,
and I mean, going further back, it would be like Megadeth, Dark Angel,
great band as well.
Overkill. I mean, like we're one of the few death metal bands that actually do clean channel stuff, like and that's kind of I got that from like the Dios and like even like back to Boston. I mean, I've always it's always cool how people would use the clean channel stuff and then it makes the heavier stuff even sound that much
Yeah,
heavier.
of course.
So like, that's something that, that's me. I mean, like I just love that. I love like the King Diamond. I love the clean channel.
King Diamond. Well,
So, that's that's kind of my thing.
yeah,
But a lot of death metal bands, like I've never heard Morbid Angel or anybody do like a clean channel and then go
yeah.
into heavy stuff.
So since you from speaking about personally, who influenced you? Like for example, singer or musician. Just right now we have to go like say more be more specific about that.
I mean,
You're,
I guess it would have to be like Gene Hoglan, like
you know,
and not as the instrument, but the person and the band, and Dave Mustaine.
the,
Like I kind of inherited some of his stuff, like and definitely like a lot of Trey, from Morbid Angel. I mean, and like Jeff Becerra, instrument wise and vocal wise and lyric wise.
and as well, I think as a human being is an influence for a lot of people as well. Yeah.
Like of course, I mean I've got tons of influences, but I guess those would be like my biggest.
But if you want to be like, because every time I make these questions, most of the musician complain because it's not easy. If you have to pick 5 albums, just 5 albums of that influenced Paul as human being, just as person, since you were born till today, what will you pick? Oh,
It'd probably be like Dio, Last in Line,
okay,
Megadeth, Peace Sells, Possessed, Seven Churches,
10 churches, good.
Morbid Angel, Altars. Is that 4? And 5 would have to
Five,
Dark Angel, and this
like,
is a tough one because it's got to be between Leave Scars or Time Does Not Heal. But I'm gonna probably have to go with like Leave Scars.
yeah. And if you, for example, you have the opportunity to be an organizer of a festival. Okay, so you have to choose a country where settle the festival, and the bands you want to put in on the festival. Could be just a 1 day, 2 days. It's up to you what band, or the band could be live or not anymore playing. It's up to you.
Like, who would I pick for a festival?
Yeah.
Oh
Like
God,
an imaginary festival. So you are even you can put Mozart if you want. It's not we have no limits. It's just your personal festival. How it would be.
oh man, God, I'd like to hear everybody like Suffocation, Obituary, Monstrosity, Possessed. I mean, like, I mean, all my favorite. I mean, I'd love to hear everybody like that.
Yeah,
Even like, some of the newer bands I've run across, like Coffin Text and Inhuman, and
yeah, yeah. And in which country you would like to settle?
would I like to?
Yeah, to settle to organize the festival.
Oh man, it probably had to be Europe.
We have a lot of festival, right?
Yeah, we don't have like a lot of big like, or at least metal festivals. We have like a few in the U.S. But
Yeah, there is the Maryland that something like that, if I'm not wrong. But you have a lot of gigs that for example, in Italy, we don't have almost anything, so
yeah,
we have to move.
that's about how we are in the South in the U.S. We don't really have anything either.
It's not the same sort, believe me. But if you, in your opinion, what is changed from the that scene, or that thrash metal scene from today, or in the or from the past? What is changed? I mean, because of course now there is like a sort of renaissance of all that thrash metal bands coming in now. A lot of new bands are amazing as well. But what is changed? What do you feel has changed? A real difference between back what happens today and back then?
I mean, God, that's hard to kind of put down in like something quick. I mean, I guess what's changed, I mean, as far as like playing wise, is like, you don't hear as many riffs or like
Mm.
really cool, chord progressions. You hear a lot of notes, and you hear people playing to the best of their ability instead of holding back and just writing a cool riff. And I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure
of course.
a billion people will disagree with me, but that's what I see. From older players to newer players, like
Yeah,
it's almost like it's a competition. Like, how many notes can I play in the song, as opposed to, can I write just a cool fucking song with three chords or something, and
yeah, yeah. Of course, I agree completely. And in your opinion, which advice would you give to this band today? There are playing on. They will, what can I say? They are about to form, for example, new teenager. They want to form a death metal band, go outside into the oceans of death metal bands, thrash metal bands.
I mean, my advice would be, enjoy it, man. Like, those are the
Yeah,
times, yes, when I was younger, and we were doing it just because it's what we wanted to do.
yeah,
As it turns into a business, like, if you're lucky enough to get signed and start doing, it starts turning into a business. And like,
yeah,
at my age right now, I have a good job, I make good money. I'm
yeah,
doing this for fun, and this is the most fun I've had since I've been like 18 or 19 years old, because I'm not trying to make a living. So, like, young
yeah.
people, you just do what you like, play what you want to play. Don't try to play what you think people want to hear. Play what is in your heart.
You're right.
If
I
you want
agree completely.
to play death metal, if you want to play thrash, play thrash. Don't play what's popular. It never works out. Every band that's changed their genre, like when
Yeah,
grunge took over the metal scene, when bands tried to go industrial or grunge, it just blew up in their face.
I
Just
agree.
do what's in your heart, man, and enjoy it.
I agree. So before ending, I want just like to, what can I say? Thank you for being here. I'm sorry for being late, and most of all, just we can say we should send a message. Just if there is any drummer out there that wants to ride the just can say um, a ride with the false prophet, but just commitment, true commitment, just where they can reach you.
The best place is Facebook. I mean, we're
Yeah.
all usually, when you hit us up on Facebook, you're talking to me or Scott.
Okay.
So yeah, just
I,
hit us up on Facebook, man. It's easy. We usually keep everybody posted. Whatever shows are going on, whatever
I
we have available. Um,
Okay, and if you want to, for example, suggest one song or a demo to the people that are seeing this interview for the first time and want to know more about False Prophet, which you would advise to them just to know the band better.
yeah, I mean, go to Spotify and check out like Divine or Prayers. That's the newer stuff.
Okay,
Two songs I'd recommend if you want to hear the older stuff, like maybe Second Death or Holy Deception. Some of the older
okay,
songs. But
okay. So thank you so much, Paul, and I just hope that you get a drummer soon and to see you some in stage somewhere else. Maybe I don't know how up in South Carolina because I love the place. So maybe one day I'll join them and make a full interview with all the band, the new drummer as well. Who knows?
okay, I
So
appreciate.
thank you so much, and let me know when the album will be out.
Okay, thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure. Bye.